All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Taped Crusaders. I am your co-host, Mike L, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Phantom 1986.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah.
Okay, as always, we're joined by media co-owner Champion.
Can I get excited? I'm
Yes,
very excited about it.
There you
Sure,
go.
yeah.
Of
I'm
course.
not that excited.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. Look, for those that don't know, you may laugh at the Phantom, but I'll have you know, Ian, the Phantom is the first costume hero. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Before Superman, he's not technically a superhero, but he is the first costume hero. So the whole trope of a superhero that wears,
Spandex.
spandex comes from this character.
Huh.
So other than that, Josh, did you know anything about the Phantom before this episode?
No.
Okay, Ian. Oh,
Yeah,
you
no.
think so?
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
that's
You're
it.
asking me, you expected me to know more than
So,
that.
so here's the thing. You know what? I was going to do all this research. I know a little bit about the Phantom, but Josh has this device here that can access all the information and recorded history. And we're going to tell you just a 30-second summary of the Phantom. He was introduced in 1936 by Lee Falk. And he was not a comic book character. He first appeared as a comic strip character, and then went on from there. There's been movies, there's been, I believe, cartoons, obviously comic strips.
It's still running
books,
as of today.
and it's still running.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
As in the comic strip?
Comic
Yeah,
strip,
The original
yeah.
comic strip.
But not by Lee Falk. But yeah,
I would imagine there would be something different by now.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's still the original comic strip. Isn't that amazing? Back in the old days, they used to have comic strips of every genre, crime fiction, fantasy, science fiction. Now it's mostly just, gags, like 3-panel gags. But anyway, again, just like if you watch the show, this movie came out during the glut of post-Batman superhero movies.
The glory days of comic books.
Yeah, this is the peak. It never doesn't get any better than this. And yet another movie that even though I was buying comics every week at this time, I had no interest in seeing this film. I never saw it until today. Josh, what's your story with the Phantom? Have you ever seen it before?
No, and it's the same thing. I actually watched it today, right after work, and then immediately came here.
And then immediately forgot about it.
Yeah. No experience with this character at all, surprisingly. I mean, I feel like I recognize the comic strip, but I can't recall a single thing from anything. Like, I don't think I've read the comic strip itself. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
Champion.
I'm going to break ranks with these guys. I've known about this Phantom movie for a while. I actually watched this movie for the first time yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, so you beat us.
I beat you by about 12 hours.
Okay.
I've actually seen parts of the movie twice. I watched the last 15 minutes here with Mike.
Oh, okay. okay.
So,
So yeah.
once again, I'm a veteran and resident expert.
Yes, you are.
So we don't need the wiki page pulled up.
Not at all.
We're good. Okay.
Not at all. I got it.
Okay.
Where do we start with this?
Well, I mean, okay, I put this in the same category as like the Shadow film.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rocketeer is obviously better,
Oh yeah.
but it's a superhero adaptation, but it's set in the period that the character was created, so it's the 1930s, which is a good idea, I think. It has an Indiana Jones vibe, right?
It wants to be Raiders so
it wants
bad.
to be Raiders,
So bad.
but the problem with imitating a great movie is that it just draws attention to all of your own weaknesses. Right?
I think that's a huge problem with this movie is that it does try and be something that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we see all of its faults.
Ooh.
So the first sequence very much feels like Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first sequence of Raiders. They go into the tomb, they're like dodging a bunch of like booby traps. But in this movie, it feels like hokey. Like a skeleton pops out and strangles a guy to death.
I also don't remember Indiana Jones trying to elbow a small child in the face.
Oh my god!
Right.
2 minutes into the film.
The bad guys are Indiana Jones too, which is weird.
Well, that's the other side of it, right? It's like Indiana Jones, but a bizarro Indiana Jones,
Right.
where it's the villains that are doing.
And the thing is the first thing I noticed is all of the exchanges are so forced, like between like the bad guy and the other bad guy, and the bad guy and the kid, and it just it doesn't come off as witty or funny. It's just forced and trying hard to be witty and funny, right?
Yeah, and the tones are all over the place in this movie. Like at times it does feel kind of like this pulpy action hero story, and
Right.
then at times it's supposed to be raiders, and then at other times it goes the complete opposite way, where it's just like trying to be almost goofy and like a family movie, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, boy.
This movie sounds as though it was originally drafted as a comedy, but then they took all the comedic elements out.
Yeah.
And left everything
Mhm.
else. Like it has the, I don't know. Like it feels like it wants to be funny, but that the movie won't let itself be funny.
right.
Well, yeah, and there's certain like for example, you know, when the Phantom goes onto the boat to rescue Christy Swanson, and he goes into a room and he sees a bunch of girls like in a shower, and he's like, oh, whatever, and then he jumps down the chute, and then he ends up in the other room where she is, and he says, oh, there's a lot of women on this boat, or is this all women, or something like that. But it's just like you're sitting there watching. It's like I get what you're trying to do. I know the tone you're going for, but you're doing everything wrong. Like the joke is
Yeah.
wrong, and even like just the way he lands and the way that he interacts with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Christy Swanson. It's just amateur.
That whole scene is weird because it's like, you're right. It's like he's setting up a joke, but then he just leaves.
Mm-hmm,
Right? I know the scene you're talking about. It's like
Right.
there's a lot of women on this ship, and then Catherine Zeta-Jones is like, all my pilots are women, and Billy Zane just says, oh, and then walks away.
I know, yeah. It's like if that was on live on stage, there'd be dead air, it'd be crickets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And just even like when Christy Swanson's tied up, and then Catherine Zeta-Jones wants to see her boots, but then she's got to pull them off, and she has the note in her boot, and then she tries to hide it. It doesn't go anywhere, and then
No.
the Catherine Zeta-Jones sees it. So you're like, okay, well, in a good movie, this would be like, what are you trying to hide from me? And then maybe she would get hit because that's scary. But in this
It'll be
movie,
a plot point.
there's no consequences, right? Or there'd be a plot
She
point.
just wants to see her boots, and that's all it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Which,
bad.
which is fine, but you've already set up that she's hidden this little thing in her boots. So why does all this happen?
Yeah, I mean, even
Oh.
down to like the joke, like you were saying, with like, oh, there's a lot of women on this boat.
Yeah.
It also feels out of character because I don't think at any other time in the movie he feels like a cocky kind of like.
Yeah, that's another
You know,
problem.
you know what I mean? Like
Defining his
that
character.
joke. Yeah, that joke doesn't help define him or his relationship with either of those two characters. It's just kind of like a
That's fine.
throwaway bit. You know what I mean? Like there's no other moments in the movie where they're kind of like fighting over him being like this like schmoozer or like being too good for that. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
there's a word for this. I think it's undercooked. It's like a draft one.
Half baked.
Half baked. Yeah.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. Thank you, Ian. Right. It's like, yeah, it's like they just didn't know. They just threw everything together, but they never smoothed it out and fixed things and did a second draft, right? Also, okay, he's in his little study, in his little cave where he was born.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like every superhero has that, like the Fortress of Solitude for Superman, the Batcave for Batman, and then he has kind of his Alfred, his little helper. But then the helper disappears, then all of a sudden there's an old man standing there. And you're like, oh, who's this guy? And you find out, oh, this is his ghost of his father. But the way that the other guy comes in is like, I thought I heard something. Oh, what do you think you heard? I thought that I heard you talking to somebody. No, I was just talking to myself. And it's like, the audience already knows where it's going to go. The audience, he already knows where it's going to go.
Mhm.
But it's like, if they would have cut off like two of those lines and left it open, like, I thought I heard you talking to somebody, cut or something. But it's just like over-explained. And there's no, you know, musical hit of like mysticism, of like, you know, that like, oh,
Mhm.
something mystical is going on. There's a ghost there. Nothing.
It also feels like something that was going to pay off later. Like maybe the butler was going to be part of the movie more, and
Something, yeah.
like he was going to discover that like, oh my god, your father who I used to serve is now this like ghost that's helping you. No, like it's just dropped. Like and
Totally right.
they point attention to it, and then like, never mind. Let's.
Do we even learn that that's his father at that point? Because
I think at some point.
maybe it's at the end. No, I think it's at the end because he says dad or something, and that's like the
Yeah.
big reveal.
because so much of what we need to know to understand this movie we're told in the last 90 seconds.
Yes, like his
Yeah.
full origin, right? No, but that's the thing is like, again, you know, we're learning so much on this podcast about how to write a movie because we're seeing how badly it can be done, right? With a big budget, you can still do it completely wrong. Like, okay, it's a decent idea. His father's a ghost. He talks and he gives him advice. Great idea. But maybe his father appears when he's in the middle of action, and maybe he tells him things, or I don't know, something. Because there's a trope in movies of like a person talking to a character no one else can see, and it sometimes can be done like Battleship Galactica. It's very clever. It can be done well. But this movie, they just drop it. They set it up and they drop it within 2 seconds. It's like, so what? Oh, well, I'll take that out. It doesn't affect the story, right? And there's a lot of things like that.
I think the only reason that we don't need it, but the only reason that it's in any way helpful to the story is that it helps to explain how, like the origin of, what's this movie called again? The Phantom.
The Shadow.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say The Shadow. So we learn that there have been many Phantoms.
Yeah.
And that this is, I take that back. There's no point in him.
There's no point. Okay. So,
it's dumb.
Should we jump to the actors now? I mean, we still have to fill about 15 more minutes. Okay, so let's. You want to talk about plot?
Yeah, I want to talk about this plot.
The
because
3 skulls
it
represent
the 4.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not 5, 6 skulls? Why not add more? It's so stupid. The fact that they constantly have to be adding in these, like, not even what's it called when it's just like an object.
MacGuffin?
Yeah.
Four MacGuffins, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like the beginning of the movie, they're searching for the skull, and then they find it. It's like, finally, I have the skull, but I need the second skull.
No, okay.
And they find the second, but guess what? There's a third one, and it's gonna control the other 2. So we have to get the third one in. But if all 3 are together, then the 4th hidden skull can control that one.
No,
it's like what?
Garbage.
It's so awfully written.
And right off the bat, too, the first skull that they find, they go right in the middle of the jungle to find it, only to learn that the second skull is right down the street in this museum.
Yeah, that's
okay. The one that you can just like pay $5 admission and break glass and get it.
That was
instead of hiring
It should have been the opposite. The first one should have been the museum.
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up here. Even when they get the first skull, again, you can see the writers rewriting it and like cutting it. Oops, let's just add that in red ink later. They actually say, with this skull, we can do whatever. And then someone in the movie goes, yeah, but you only have one of them. Oh yeah, but it's like the writers, we need someone to say that line. Here, give it to that goon. And the way that it's delivered, again, okay, look, this is good. We have props on this podcast now. If it was one skull divided into 3 parts, then when you get the first part, you go, oh, there must be 2 other ones. But the fact that there's arbitrarily 3, and they know that.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, they don't know that because there's 4.
Right.
But who's in charge of how many skulls there are? You're right about that. If there's some like, well, this is obviously incomplete.
Right.
There's no, this is obviously incomplete. We found the skull. And now we just happen to know.
Oh,
it's so confusing, and also like the escalation is so strange too. Like 1 skull, world domination. 2 skulls, a map.
Again, backwards.
and then 3 skulls.
Free hot dog at 7-Eleven. It's all backwards.
3 skulls, and then it will reveal that there's a 4th skull that will defeat all the other skulls if the 3 are together.
And going back to that map for a second, like it's a good thing that nobody redecorated that museum in the meantime, so the laser.
Okay.
That's true.
Been there. What are they going to do?
This reminds me now of how, when it's done right, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, we find a book, Indy's father's book, that shows a staff. Okay, they're looking for the staff. We find the staff. Oh, he's got the wrong staff. So when he puts it in the hole, it goes to the wrong point or the wrong city or whatever. We have the right staff, then we use it, then we break it. That's clever. That keeps the story going. This is just...
We've got to collect them all.
Yeah, it's...
like they're Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so cheap. It's just so generic. Like anyone could have written this. Oh, I don't know. The dialogue wasn't good. Like, okay, let's just talk about the actors, then we can go back to part 1.
Let's do it.
So the lead actor is someone who I at one point thought was the greatest actor in Hollywood. I might have been mistaken, Billy Zane. So I know him from, what was that movie he did where he was on a boat? Was it River's Edge or River Wild? Or
Well, he was on a boat in this one, wasn't he?
Well, he was on a boat in this one, but it was in another movie.
Pirate movie?
No, it was terrorized. It was like one of those movies where there's like 2 people on a boat and he terrorizes them.
Yeah.
It was like
I think the boat sank at the end.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, probably. Oh yeah, but then it was another boat movie. it was 1,200 people and they all sank and died. That was called Titanic. He was in that.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking
No,
of too.
I'm talking about one with 2 actors. It's like,
I thought you were doing a Titanic
There's
joke.
another movie. No, there's a movie where it's like a little sailboat and he terrorizes 2 people on that boat.
Oh, it sounds like a scary cape that they put it on.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so at one point I thought he was great, but it's like his career never took off. And after watching this movie, I'm like, is he a good actor? Is he a bad actor? Is he not acting? Is he trying? What's the deal, Josh?
You know, I kind of liked him in the role.
Right.
I just think that the role sucked. You know what I mean? Like the movie and the story sucked. So like
maybe
it kind of felt like he did an awful job, but he did feel like a pulp hero. You know what I mean? Like I think he played that role well. Both when he's in the costume and out, I think he does a pretty good job. I just don't think that anything spectacular happens in the movie to kind of like let him shine. Maybe he wouldn't have been fantastic, but like I don't know, he was fine. I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. Ian, what do you think?
I didn't mind him in this. In fact, at one point while I was watching the movie yesterday, I thought, what they should have done is just taken the entire movie up and out from around Billy Zane and put another movie around him, and it would have been great. Now,
possible, yeah.
I like how he played his character. I like the fact that he wasn't some brooding, morose superhero for a change. He was happy all the time.
That's a good point.
He was always in a good mood. And considering his lot in life, right? Like, he's this superhero type who, I don't know, he sounds like he's got a pretty fun thing going on. I'd be having fun if I was him. So the fact that he's having fun with this movie, it kind of fit. But there was nothing around him to make it compelling at all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's almost like he was underacting in a way that he either didn't care about the movie or, again, the director was like, let's roll in rehearsal. Okay, we're just going to use rehearsal for the whole movie. Because he wasn't giving it his all. But also, like Josh said, maybe there was nothing there for him to, there's no meat to chew on. He was just like saying his lines.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think of like moments where he could have done anything. Like, there's also no moments where he like realizes the love interest is gone or has been kidnapped. He's kind of just absent for a little while, and then they go into the lagoon or whatever, and they meet the pirates, and they go in, and then all of a sudden he's just there and swings into the scene and is swashbuckling again. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing for him.
There's no concept of the stakes for him.
Yeah.
Well, and now comparing it to Indiana Jones, in Raiders, he thought Marion died. In Temple of Doom, I don't remember what, there was points where something bad was happening. And, in the third one,
and there's like real danger too,
right? Yes.
Like the
betrayal and and actual danger and threat. And even in this movie, again, it's almost like they took the Indiana Jones deck of cards and shuffled it. They had the bridge, right? Mm-hmm. They had, obviously, like in the caves and all that stuff. But even
the kid.
Yeah, you're right, like Short Round.
Yeah.
But even that kid at the beginning, the idea of, we all have to cross. Okay, there's a point where they go, okay, we all of us have to cross, but one of us has to drive the car across, or the van, or the truck, or whatever. And then they go, well, who's it going to be? And then it just cuts to them waiting with the kid driving the van. And it's
in a better movie, that would have been a good cut.
Right. That's the point. Is that I get what you're trying to do, but maybe they cut too fast. Or they cut wrong, but it didn't land, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, I get it, but it's not funny, right?
Yeah, it's frustrating about this movie is that you could tell sometimes that they had a good idea, but they just booted it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's also talk about the support. Yeah, the leading lady, Christy Swanson, whom I'm not sure if you two know, but she was the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the movie version. Yes. She then went on to have no career after this. Poor girl. But she was pretty good in this. She was fine. I don't know.
Christy Swanson as Diane Paul.
Yeah, almost reminded me of, what's her name? Haley Atwell? Is that her name?
Oh, yeah, from
in a way.
Captain America.
Haley Atwell was way better. But yeah, Christy Swanson was fine. What did you think?
Yeah, again, I wanted her to do more in the movie. I'm trying to think of what she even did, really.
Not much.
She flew to the jungle because she decided she wanted to for some reason, and then she got kidnapped.
Yeah, and then she gets kidnapped immediately by the businessmen who take her back to the same jungle.
Again.
And then is saved by the Phantom. Yeah.
What is her character? Okay, going back to Indiana Jones, Karen Allen is kind of feisty and independent and kind of tomboyish. And then the second actress in Temple of Doom was like a princess, spoiled, like funny. And then the third one was kind of cold and she was a traitor, femme fatale. What is Christy Swanson's character? I have no idea. She's just nice and generic, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I think the problem is that she is a damsel in distress the entire film, but they want us to believe that she's not. And that she's the strong-willed, like, secondary hero of the movie.
That's a good
and I feel
point.
like we don't get it.
They got to give her something to do.
Yeah.
You can't be a hero if all you like on. She's just the niece of the guy that runs the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Okay. Okay.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones again. She's obviously a star, but I always thought she'd be bigger. But she's someone I liked as an actress. You know, beautiful. Kind of looks like Wonder Woman. She should have played Wonder Woman maybe at one point. In this movie, she was pretty good. I thought she was fine. What do you think?
Yeah, she does have a little bit more to do. I almost feel like maybe combine the characters a little bit, or you know, like have her be the one that has a love interest with the Phantom, and then she betrays him, and then by the end switches back. You know what I mean? Like
kind of like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and then at the beginning of the movie, you can kind of set up their relationship from the start. But really, in this movie, she kisses the Phantom. And then randomly, and then is knocked out, and we don't really see her until the end of the movie, right? I'm trying to think of like even what she does in between.
She just kind of follows them around. She
definitely doesn't do anything in like the office building.
Really,
she's just kind of there, and then she turns on the bad guy in the jungle.
Yeah, because what's her face, Christy
Swanson
is being not mistreated, but is under threat of mistreatment. Right. And then Catherine Zeta-Jones is like, us girls have to stick together. And now she's one of the good guys.
Okay, here's the thing. Well, the writing's bad, but I'm also, sometimes when you watch a movie that's this bland, you kind of go, okay, I'm just going to watch like the corners of the frame because maybe there's something interesting going on there. So you start to focus on other things. And I don't usually notice lighting. But I noticed like the lighting was bland and the editing was bland and the directing was bland because obviously you're comparing it to Indiana Jones and you're just going like, this is so flat. It's like a TV show. The shooting is flat. Like when they're on the airplane and she's hanging, what was it? She's hanging off and then, I can't remember who was first, but
is this when they have to get off the plane and onto the horse?
Onto the horse.
Oh, yeah.
Onto the horse. It's like so not exciting. Like it could have been exciting. It was shot badly, edited badly, staged badly. And I'm not going to criticize 1995 special effects, but they weren't good.
You can criticize.
I can criticize. They
were pretty bad.
They were just flat and dull, like not creative.
Yeah, I think the visual effects, like the special effects, were fine.
Yeah,
but the
use of them was uncreative, right?
Yeah,
yes.
And then the special effects, like the digital fires and explosions, were extremely poor. I mean, it. I don't think that they held up even for 1996 standards. Like they're pretty shitty.
And just like the camera shot. The camera's uninvolved. Like it's not at the right place. It's not making it exciting. Whenever there's characters shooting each other, it's like, what a dull way to shoot this. What a dull everything, right?
And I'm still thinking about that airplane horse scene where it's like completely from the side.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're watching an old Atari game.
Yes, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Like a side scroller.
And then you have to like get your plane at just the right spot and then drop your player down onto the horse. It's just the horse is moving back and forth a little bit, the plane back and forth.
Totally right.
It looked like a cheap video game. I was giggling at it too much to feel any of the stakes.
Right.
And then at the end, I'm thinking, the Phantom, he jumped off first, leaving her on the plane by herself with seconds.
Yep.
Some superhero.
I know. Good point. Good point. Well, also, the fact that it was such a bland side wide shot, it was like, you're kind of looking at it going like, okay, is that green screened? Is there like cropping? What's going on? But if they would have just done like a close up, I don't know, somehow were clever with the cutting together of different shots, it would have at least been exciting, and you would have felt like you were on the plane with them. But again, like you said, no, you're just watching. Let's just watch this special effect from 50 feet away, and it was just so bland, right? I don't know.
That's probably why it was so bland too, is because it was multiple shots spliced together, and doing that in any other sort of orientation would be extremely complex. But they kind of point each other out, right? Like the bland shooting is pointing out how kind of poor the special effects are, and because we have to do the special effect, it's making everything bland. Like
you're right. You're right.
So maybe figure out something else to do. You know what I mean? Like, do they need to fall off the airplane onto that person? You know what I mean? Like,
here's the thing. We got Wikipedia here. Why don't you let's open it up for a second, because I want to check something. Take that director, click on his name. Let's see what this guy has.
Simon Wincer.
Oh boy.
Have you heard of him before?
Never. What else has he done? Is it a filmography? Maybe if we go.
He directed a telemovie, The Last Frontier.
Oh yeah, because I remember that. And then
Free Willy.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Is it good?
Interesting. I remember liking it as a kid.
Okay, so he has a career.
He has,
Nothing I've heard of. Nothing.
Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
He directed Daryl. He directed Crocodile. Okay, the second Crocodile Dundee. Quigley Down Under. Everyone remembers that one. Free Willy. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Okay, I take it back. Wait a minute. Operation Dumbo Drop. Okay, he does have a career. He's directed.
Whoa, yeah, okay. I didn't even.
Hold on a second. What is this? Wait, Ian, he directed The Young Black Stallion from 2003.
Oh, well, I'm sold.
Okay. Enough. We don't want to pick on this guy.
Horse expert.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. So, every once in a while, I'll do this. You'll see these guys that have careers that last 40 years, and they never do anything great. I mean, sure, some of these movies are good. None of them are great. None of them are classics. But he's getting work. He seems to know what he's doing. But judging by this movie, he doesn't. He's not great. He's a journeyman.
Yeah,
right?
Journeyman. That's the perfect word.
Point the camera and go, okay, fine. So, this movie, let's see, what did it do at the box office? Sorry,
Probably not well.
Let's just check here. I know that this is what podcasts are. What?
$23 million.
That's
on a $45-50 million budget.
And let's be clear, $23 million at a time when Batman movies were making north of $200 million. So this was a bomb. There was never another Phantom film. Most people today don't even know who this character is. Like, I don't name drop, but I know a Windsor comic book artist that drew the Phantom, and he didn't know who the hell this character was. Okay. So I think the modern generation, they don't know who he is. Like, unfortunately, he's been lost to history.
Well, this movie will help once the podcast comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
You're welcome, Billy Zane.
Oh boy, Billy Zane, who's now going to be playing Marlon Brando in an upcoming film about the making of, I think, Mutiny on the Bounty. I think, and he does. It's perfect casting. He looks just like him. Catherine Zeta-Jones has gone on to marry Michael Douglas and to hate poor people. Christy Swanson has gone on to, I think she is like an anti-vaxxer or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is a great cast. But anyway.
We need one of those endings where it's like a freeze frame.
Yeah, you're right.
Like the text over.
Totally right. So I don't know what to say. Okay, this is, again, we talked about how this reminds us of The Shadow. Is this better or worse than The Shadow, Ian?
Which one was The Shadow again? That was Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, yeah. And Madonna.
This, I don't know. This movie was goofy. And we still haven't talked about our lead villain.
Oh,
wait, who was he
Drax.
again? I didn't remember
Xander Drax.
I didn't remember him.
Who was played by Treat Williams.
Oh, Treat Williams. I like him. I think he was the lead actor in the movie Hair. I think he's a good actor.
He was so goofy,
but in this movie, he was not scary at all.
Like, he'd have his little skull.
Yeah.
I remember when he got his skulls and he's like, this is more power than I'd ever imagined. This is the greatest day of my life. I can't believe that this is happening to me. And he's just so happy that he has these skulls. And you can't really root against a villain like that.
He's such a nice, likable guy.
This is so great. I'm so happy with things right now.
He's the Maurice Lee of supervillains. Yes.
even his demise is kind of joyful and funny. Like there's this laser battle, and it's going back and forth, and then boom, and he explodes. And as he's exploding, he says something like, "So unexpected!" Boom!
Right.
Like it's like his weird one-liners that are they feel like they weren't one-liners in the script, but he's like, "I'm gonna make every one of these fucking lines a one-liner, like every single."
He
line.
did his job then, more so than what's his name, the lead actor, Billy Zane. Yeah, I guess he did, right?
I guess so. It kind of does feel like he's in a different movie. Like he's in the version of the movie that is full on pulp, like goofy, like comic book film, right? Billy Zane is almost playing it more real, like a character, but it's kind of boring. The pirates are.
What was up with that? They went full on Goonies for a second.
Yeah,
I know.
Like right down to the costume.
Again, it's like, okay, we're gonna do Indiana Jones for a bit, then we're gonna do Goonies. It's just generic, right? Like just junk.
Yeah, I've seen these things in movies. Let's put this in my movie.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right.
When the what's his name, the pirate? Because that's another thing too. So the Phantom is this persona that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Right.
And then we also learned that the Dread Pirate Roberts has also been passed down from generation to generation. Like what's the pirate name?
Sang?
Yeah, something Sang or Sing.
The House of Sang.
Kabai Singh.
Okay.
Yeah, Kabai Singh is the one pirate from the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And then Kabai Singh has been passed down. Like, why? They're not really connected, their origins. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's kind of Star Warsy. Every character has to be a long time descendant of someone from
right. Yeah.
There's only two families.
And that kind of irked me when they were like, "Oh, every Phantom passes it on to his son." It was just like a very outdated. It just sounded like
outdated. First of all, second of all, there's been dozens of them, and yet they're living in the jungle and they're white. How does this happen?
Oh, I don't even know. That's a whole... Again, 1935-ish is when...
You fly to New York and get a white girlfriend and
I know, yeah.
At least that scene was in the movie where the indigenous woman falls in love with him. The first white guy that she sees.
Yeah,
but
treats him like a god.
Yeah. At least that was in the movie. But also the fact that everyone just assumes that this guy can't be killed because everyone's killed him before, but it turns out that every Phantom has been killed,
right?
And it's just the descendant. Well, then how many people are we talking about here, right? The person that killed Billy Zane's father, right at the beginning of the film, is like, who's that guy? It was a guy that I killed already. And it turns out later that he killed his father. How old is he then?
And that guy's like 25.
Who's killing the other Phantoms?
That's a good point.
Are hundreds of years old.
Yeah, like that character should have been like 80 years old or something. Right? Yeah, you're right. Just to sell that. The idea was not fully thought of. Half baked.
It's also strange that they set this in a magical forest, and that's the origin for the Phantom. Yet the Phantom doesn't have any magic powers.
Okay, here's the thing.
Then why do it?
This reminds me of the beginning of the movie when they show him kind of like sitting in this big throne thing that he waits for danger, and then I think he put on his costume. I'm not sure if he does. Maybe he's already got his costume, but they kind of do that Batman montage. He's going to get ready. Then he just grabs his gun. How is this mystical, right? Like, I know that he's the first costumed hero, fine. So they were figuring things out as they go. But that doesn't fit because it's like you said, if there's like a dozen or 25 of these Phantoms, what did the other ones do? They must have had a sword or something, right? But this guy's just got a gun. I don't know.
Now, why are they so... Like, we have to get these skulls. Why? Well, because these people want them. Well, if you knew that these were so dangerous right off the bat, why have you been just like leaving one in this cave for 200 years?
Right.
Do something. Put it like have somebody guarding it?
Yeah.
Well, they have the magical skeleton.
They do have the
That
magical
chokes
skeleton.
people out. So.
That was so stupid. Okay, here's the other thing we have to talk about. The Phantom's costume. The first superhero costume. Does this costume work in live action, Josh?
You know what? I think it does.
Okay.
I actually like the costume. I think that the kind of updating that they've done with like the subtle detailing, the textures, and they've got like the skull kind of like stitched in. It's fun. I think the reason why it doesn't work in this movie is because it's shot constantly in daylight. Like there's no like mystery. He's just standing there all the time in this like flat lighting, so it makes the costume look absolutely stupid. Like there's no like reveal. It's just like this guy in some purple tights. So I do think the costume is well done and well made. It fits Billy Zane like perfectly. Like it looks so good. I think even the domino mask, like inside of the I think it works. It just doesn't work here. Like they didn't shoot it right.
Ian, what do you think?
Josh said most of it. They should have kept him in shadow a little bit more. They should have done something to build some sort of mystique instead of, you might as well just had him walking through a shopping mall.
Well,
in terms of the lighting and how out of place he looked. Like why are you wearing the costume if this is the costume that you're wearing in this location?
And that's the thing is that the writers can write whatever they want, right? They don't have to stick him in a time. Like when Captain Zeta-Jones is kind of interrogating Krista Swanson, they didn't have to write it into that room. They could have written a bigger room. Like even this room has better lighting than that room did. And so you can't lean on realism to say, well, that's just the way, the lighting is bright in that room. Well, then put him in a different room. You're the writer, you're the director. And you're right. It's like if you would have dropped into this room and he was all in shadow, who's that? Oh, what is that over there? That would have been much cooler than what we got, right? Yeah. It was just a guy standing there, basically a cosplayer. Yeah,
flat realistic lighting is always boring.
Right.
I think I was actually just listening to a thing with for the Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
And the actor that plays Sam.
Yes.
Sean Astin.
Yes, Sean Astin.
He was saying that he was talking to one of the lighting supervisors for Lord of the Rings, and he was talking about how why is there light coming from this area? Like it's supposed to be a dark dungeon, blah blah blah. And he's like, so where's the lighting coming from? And he responds with the same place that the music is coming from. That is perfect. So great. I love that. So it doesn't need to be this. It's a bright room. It's got to be lit, or you find ways to make it work.
Be creative, or even if he breaks the lights,
something
like Batman. Right, Batman makes it movie, so you can have a good entrance, right? Yeah, I don't know. And again, going back to Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Indiana Jones is introduced in a scene, Spielberg holds on the shadow first, then shows him walk into the bar. And at the beginning of the movie, Spielberg shows the back of the head and like the little turn when he's listening and he hears the guy, or I think he pulls out the dart or the gun. I don't remember. But the point is that he knows how to make it dramatic. And this movie, not dramatic at all. Yeah. No build up, no drama, nothing.
Yeah. No, so he walks in the frame and says, hi.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Look, it doesn't need to be Batman levels dramatic and shadows, but it's dramatic. Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're almost done our fancy review. I don't know where to rank this. This is just a big bland movie. Like we've done some bland movies, but again, if the closest thing to this is The Shadow, I'd rather watch The Shadow. Because The Shadow had interesting things in it. It just wasn't handled well. Ian, what do you think?
This is going to be a tough one because I was bored through so much of The Shadow.
Me too. Oh, and this.
and this too. But this is an objectively worse movie than The Shadow, I'm going to say. But I found it more entertaining in that bad movie sense. Like some of the dialogue in this movie is just absolutely terrible.
Right.
Like what was Billy Zane's the Phantom's Kit something?
I don't know.
His what?
His real name.
His secret identity.
Kit Walker.
Kit Walker. Okay, all right. So there's a scene where Drax and Kit Walker are in the same room, and he's like, something with the skulls. Well, who are you? well, I'm Kit Walker. Well, who's Kit Walker? That's me.
Yeah.
Well, this is a line of dialogue in a movie. What are you saying? Another line when Christy Swanson realizes that the dog is actually a wolf. She's like, "Your dog is a wolf." I know. Oh, okay. That's great. That's great.
Not creative at all.
Well,
and I think Billy Zane doesn't have that charisma in those moments to like make like a kind of bland line work.
Yeah.
And maybe it's Billy Zane. Maybe
like if you would have been like, I know, or something,
or like
something.
Like I'm kind of thinking of like Carrie Eloise in Princess Bride. Like
sure,
when he's in the Dread Pirate Roberts like black outfit and he's talking to Buttercup, everything he says is kind of like dry and cocky. Like yes, I know. You know, it's like it doesn't have that feeling to it.
Yep, you're right.
So I don't know. I still think I like it better than The Shadow, though.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's worse than The Shadow, but I like it better than The Shadow. But I hate them both.
I like The Shadow better.
I think The Shadow is so bland that even the bad parts about this movie are at least there's something. Crystals. There's these like weird crystals in the skulls, and they shoot lasers or whatever. Like it's stupid, but at least there's something happening a little bit.
See, for me,
The Shadow was just so like, I don't know.
I think The Shadow had a lot of good ideas that were just badly handled, whereas this has almost no good ideas. I think it has fewer good ideas. So
yeah, I don't think it has any good ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
It has some good-looking set pieces.
Yeah,
a few.
Yeah,
and some of the shots of planes flying around is
kind
of nice. But
I noticed that.
It really contrasts with everything else in the movie, right? When you have these scenes like, oh wow, this is really terrible.
Totally right. I agree. So another.
And then the closing shot of the movie, which is just
a plane flying
away, and then a voice overdub of his father saying, "Oh, there goes my son screwing it up with a girl again."
What the?
It's so
weird. Credits roll.
I'm sure one day she'll return to the jungle because, you know, every Phantom's only supposed to reveal his identity to one woman ever in his life. So she'll be back one day, I'm sure. It's like, and it goes on forever too. It's just,
Yeah, it felt like the ending of an episode of Dukes of Hazzard.
I was just gonna say that.
It's
the words I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when they do the thing and the card goes up and then another card goes up, they're about to hit.
Well, Billy Zane's really gotten himself.
I'm gonna get out of this one. Oh my god. Okay, there you go, guys. Take Crusaders. We review every piece of shit superhero movie ever made. And we're gonna keep doing it until we cover them all.
Until they make a good one.
Until they make a good one, then we'll stop. Josh, where can people find our episodes?
You can find all of our episodes on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. All of our podcasts are also video format, so you can check them out on our YouTube channel. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, let us know what you guys think about the stuff that we're talking about.
And we want to thank Champ Ian for having us, just like we do every week.
Anytime.
That's
Thank
right.
you very much.
You should have joined us for Movie Week every Wednesday, sometimes Tuesday, except for tonight. But starting next week, we'll be back on track, so be sure to join us for more movies, sci-fi, fantasy, any genre. We do it all here, so we'll see you next time. Bye.